If you spend enough time online, and at this point who among us doesn't, you've probably seen a man in a wig and prosthetics quietly destroying someone's reputation without ever saying their name. His name is Druski, real name Drew Desbord, born September the 12th, 1994 in Columbia, Maryland, the son of an Air Force captain and a Department of State worker who were both deeply unimpressed when he dropped out of 2 colleges to make comedy videos in his mother's living room. His grandmother reportedly refused to speak to him unless he went back to school or got a real job. He did not go back. In October 2017, Desbords began posting comedy skits to Instagram under the handle at Druski to Funny. Early characters included a TSA agent on a power trip and a ruthless music executive making decisions from behind an invisible desk.
His fame exploded during the COVID-19 pandemic. The world stopped and Druski, like some others, gave people a place to look. Surprisingly enough, it was probably one of the most ample times to become famous. A once-in-a-phenomenon situation like that. 90% of the world buried in the phones at home and you're there to entertain. You pretty much deserve all the fame you can obtain from it.
He toured as an opening act for J. Cole, and 21 Savage appeared in Drake's music video for Laugh Now Cry Later and created Could Have Been Records, a satirical fake label that became its own cultural institution. Complex named him the #1 funniest person on the internet in 2024. Rolling Stone ranked him the #2 most influential creator of 2025. And in April 2026, he was announced as the youngest ever host of the BET Awards, eclipsing Kevin Hart, who held that record since 2011. The trajectory from his mother's living room to the BET Awards stage took less than 10 years. But before any of that, there were the skits, and there is a very specific format to how Druski works.
We're talking a crazy transformation, no name targets, enough specific detail to where the audience does all the identifying for him. He's not pointing fingers, he's holding up a mirror and waiting for the right person to flinch. And in late 2025, the internet pretty much handed him his most loaded mirror yet. But to really understand what happened next, you have to go back last year, September 10th, 2025.
Charlie Kirk, the 31-year-old co-founder of the conservative youth organization Turning Point USA, a close ally of Donald Trump and one of the most prominent voices in the MAGA movement, was speaking at an outdoor event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, as part of his American comeback tour. Around 3,000 people were in attendance, 5 times more than the university had planned for. At 12:20 in the afternoon, approximately 20 minutes into his speech, a single shot rang out from the rooftop of a nearby building. Kirk was struck in the neck and taken to hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A 33-hour manhunt followed. A 22-year-old from Washington, Utah, Tyler James Robinson, surrendered to the local sheriff the following day and was charged with aggravated murder. Prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty. Later investigations by the Associated Press revealed the university had deployed just 6 officers to the event. No drones to monitor surrounding rooftops, no bag checks, no metal detectors. The courtyard where Kirk died was surrounded by tall buildings on every side. A detail security experts later described as an obvious and unaddressed threat. The shooter had blended in with the crowd, climbed a stairwell to the roof, fired a single bolt action round from approximately 400 feet away, and fled into the surrounding neighborhood. It was the kind of political assassination that hadn't happened in America in decades, and it left a vacuum at the center of the conservative media world that one person was immediately thrust into filling. Erica Kirk was 36 years old, the mother of 2 young children, and within days of her husband's death, she was named CEO of Turning Point USA. She stepped into the most prominent role her husband had built, and she did it immediately, which some people found inspiring and others found puzzling. At Charlie Kirk's memorial service, held at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, in front of tens of thousands of people, she made an entrance that the internet had absolutely no idea what to do with. She walked onto a red carpeted stage to instrumental music through a wall of pyrotechnics in front of a crowd that stretched across a stadium floor. The internet compared it to a WWE wrestling entrance. One user wrote simply, "Are they mourning or celebrating his death?" She walked in like it was a wrestling match. Supporters pushed back, pointing out that pyrotechnics had been a staple of Turning Point events, and that Charlie Kirk himself had loved them. To her credit, and this is genuinely notable, Erica Kirk used that same stage to publicly forgive the man accused of killing her husband.
I forgive him.
She quoted Jesus on the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," and said Charlie had wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. Actor Tim Allen said on X that her words moved him to forgive the man who killed his own father, a grief he had carried for over 60 years. But online, sympathy and suspicion were running in parallel. Comments began stacking up, questioning her grief, her upbeat demeanor, and the pace at which she had stepped into public life. One user declared she was the happiest widow I've ever seen. Another wrote, "The more you post, the less I believe relieve your grief. Erica herself addressed this in an Instagram post in October 2025, writing that one day you are collapsed on the floor, crying out the name of Jesus, and the next you are playing with your children in the living room, feeling something she could only describe as divinely planted and bittersweet joy.
It was a genuinely moving thing to write, but it didn't stop the comments. Then came the leaked audio, which didn't exactly make Erica's case any better.
Conservative commentator Candace Owens, who had been in a long and deeply public feud with Erica over the future direction of Turning Point USA, released a private conference call that Erica had held with staff just 2 weeks after the assassination. The call was a motivational Zoom meeting for employees, many of whom had just spent days organizing a globally broadcast memorial that Donald Trump himself had attended. On the recording, Erica could be heard discussing the event's success, the 275,000 people who attended, the merchandise sales which she said were approaching 200,000, and praising each team involved. All of it in a tone Owens described on her podcast as extraordinarily upbeat. She could be heard giggling as she referred to the memorial as an event of the century.
Hi everybody. I still love all these emoji Zoom things. Wow, I don't even know where to begin. The fact that we were able to pull off an event of the century, like, it's just insane.
Owens said that references to Charlie watching from heaven, combined with laughter throughout the call, made her skin crawl.
It genuinely makes my skin crawl.
The backlash to the leak was immediate, but most of it landed on Owens. One comment read, "Candace is obsessed with Erica to the point it has become psychotic." Others defended Erica entirely, pointing out that she had just organised a massive public memorial for her husband and was thanking the team that made it happen.
But the narrative, fair or not, had already taken root. Erica Kirk had honestly become one of the most discussed figures on the internet. Not steadily, but I'd say like in waves.
Each clip would surface, go viral, get memed, fade, then another would land a few weeks later, bigger each time, and Druski was watching. On Wednesday evening, March 25th, 2026, Druski posted a 2-minute video to X with the caption, "How Conservative Women in America Act." He never said Erica Kirk's name, not once. The blonde wig said it, the white pantsuit said it, the Bible in hand, the speech about protecting all white men in America, and a full dance to Katy Perry's California Girls said the rest. The audience didn't watch the sketch, they decoded it. Side-by-side comparisons with real Erica Kirk footage spread within hours. X's own AI chatbot Grok, when asked to identify the person in the video, could not tell the difference between Druski and Whiteface and the actual Erica Kirk. That single exchange pulled 700,000 views on its own. By Thursday morning, the video had 22 million views. By Thursday night, 80 million. By Saturday, 163 million on X alone. Instagram adding another 3.4 million likes in under 24 hours. The total across all platforms eventually passed 400 million views. This went viral because the subject was already loaded, because the audience had spent 6 months watching Erica Kirk and forming very strong opinions, and because Druski let them do the work of naming her while he kept his hands entirely clean. Recognizing the target was the punchline. Sharing that recognition was the distribution. The conservative response came fast and loud. Texas Senator Ted Cruz called the video beneath contempt. Commentator Meghan McCain said some of Druski's supporters were birthed in hell. Donald Trump appeared to reference the skit at a White House event without naming Druski, telling Erica Kirk directly to sue their ass off, and adding that her critics were so jealous of Erica.
I told her, you ought to sue somebody. They're so jealous of Erica.
Rumours spread online that Druski had received a cease and desist order. His representatives confirmed to Newsweek that was entirely false. Jake Paul, never one to let a controversy pass without making it slightly worse for everyone involved, announced he was contacting makeup artists to do a blackface skit in response because he said he doesn't see in colour, which rather magnificently missed the point, but that is its own separate video. Erica Kirk herself responded on the Charlie Kirk show, not by naming Druski, but by describing what she called a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country. She said she woke up every morning to new headlines, comedians dressing in whiteface, people questioning her right to run Turning Point, and Candace Owens publicly claiming she had murdered her own husband. She quoted Romans 12:21, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good," which is a reasonable principle, although it does raise the question of whether encouraging your supporters to sue a comedian who never said your name counts as overcoming evil with good, or whether it's just overcoming a joke with a law firm.
Listen, here's the legal reality of what Druski actually did. Parody is protected speech under the First Amendment. Druski never used Erica Kirk's name, never claimed his character was her, and captured the entire video conservative women in America. That gap between what the skit officially was and what 163 million people understood it to be is precisely where the law has very little to grab hold of.
A forensic psychiatrist quoted in coverage of the story noted that parody hits harder in the social media era because it multiplies across platforms in ways that force people to take sides in a way that a late night sketch simply never would. The timing, she also pointed out, made universal laughter difficult.
Listen, Erica Kirk is a widow. She's also the CEO of an organization that a lot of critics believe back policies that are quite harmful towards trans communities, women, and multiple minority groups. Hey, both of those things can be true at the same time, and Druski's sketch pretty much existed somewhere in between the two situations, and then basically lit a match. This was not an isolated incident though, because Druski was running this formula for months, building a template and then finding the most explosive possible subject he can run it at.
In January 2026, his mega church parody, set in a fictional church called Collect and Praise Ministries, went viral for depicting a pastor suspended midair in a Christian Dior blazer, demanding his congregation donate $4 million or he wasn't letting them leave. Real pastors addressed the skit from their actual pulpits. Pastor Mike Todd of Transformation Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, told his congregation on a Sunday morning that the skit, which he called hilarious, was not an attack on the church, but an attack on their focus. Before that, there was a NASCAR skit at Talladega that drew its own accusations of whiteface and its own millions of views. Same format every single time.
And just 6 weeks after the conservative women's skit had 400 million people still arguing, Druski did it again, but this time he turned the mirror on his own industry.
On May 7, 2026, Druski posted a new sketch titled British Actors Are Taking All the Roles. Within 24 hours, it had over 20 million views. In the sketch, Druski plays a fictional black British actor named Samson Dubois from Manchester, England, who keeps landing every major black American role in Hollywood. The skit opens on a plantation, Samson kneeling in the dirt, holding a fistful of cotton, filming a movie called Release the Shackles. Then the director yells cut, and Samson Dubois, who had just delivered a convincing American drawl on camera, immediately drops into a thick Manchester accent and starts calmly discussing the struggle and back and forth banter like he is ordering a pint in a pub. The director's note to him is simple: I need more American slave. In a mockumentary style extra interview, Samson Dubois reflects on the experience of portraying an enslaved American man and says very sincerely that during filming he felt oppressed like an American slave. He studied the art. Later, at a fictional American Guild Awards, there is a staged TMZ style exchange where Samson says,
Yo, do you think your British accent gets you all the black roles in America?
Come on, bro. Are you serious, bro?
Do you think you're better than them?
Better than who, bro? Black people.
Yeah.
Stop.
British actor Damson Idris, who plays a black American drug dealer in the hit FX show Snowfall, commented on the post with the words, "You ain't followed by 3 laughing emojis, which, depending on your interpretation, is either a man who can take a joke or a man who absolutely knows the shoe fits.
Alright, cool.
Fans online noted that portions of the skit appeared to mirror scenes from Snowfall, almost shot for shot, from the lighting to the cadence to the emotional register Druski brought to the character. Druski's fictional character was also specifically from Manchester, yet his accent was of a sound you would hear more from the boroughs of, say, South London rather than upper northern regions of the UK.
Make of that what you will, but the debate that Druski's poking at here is not new. And it's not a small debate either. It's been simmering in Hollywood for over a decade now. And it tends to boil over every few years whenever a high-profile casting decision lands. And you can trace the modern version of this conversation all the way back to 2014, to a film that many people consider one of the most important pieces to black American cinema ever made.
Selma, directed by Ava DuVernay, told the story of the 1965 voting rights marches from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, one of the most specifically black American stories in all of civil rights history. At its center was Martin Luther King Jr., the single most iconic figure in the entire black American civil rights movement. The man cast to play him was David Oyelowo, a British actor of Nigerian heritage who trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. The performance was widely praised. Oyelowo won the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor and received a Golden Globe nomination.
And yet the question quietly followed the film everywhere. If any story belongs specifically to black Americans, should the man at the center of that story come from within that experience?
Oyolowo said in interviews that a sequence of supporting roles in American historical dramas, Lincoln, The Help, The Butler, Red Tails, had amounted to what he called a cinematic education in what it meant to be black in America across 150 years. That was his answer to the question. Not everyone found it sufficient. There is also the uncomfortable footnote that the same year as Selma, Chiwetel Ejiofor, another British actor of Nigerian heritage, had delivered one of the most acclaimed performances in cinema that decade, playing Solomon Northup in 12 Years a Slave. Both films won major awards, both told specifically American stories, and both were led by British actors, in which neither of these facts existed in isolation.
And with regards to the sensitive nature of the background, a decade of casting decisions that never quite went away is exactly what Druski walked into when he posted that sketch May 2026.
He did not invent the debate, he just dressed it up in a burlap sack and a so-called Manchester accent and let the internet do the rest. And in typical Druski fashion, the sketch itself was the cleanest version of the argument anyone had made in years. No op-ed, no panel discussion, just Samson Dubois, freshly out of a cotton field, switching accents the moment the camera stopped rolling, telling a journalist he felt oppressed like an American slave, and then showing up at an award ceremony in a tailored blazer to collect a trophy for it. The comment sections called it the most accurate thing posted on the internet in months. One viral comment read simply, "It's not even satire at this point, it's facts." Two skits, 6 weeks apart, one took on conservative grief, political power, and what it looks like when a widow becomes a public brand in real time. The other took on Hollywood casting, a simmering decade-long frustration, and the gap between who a story belongs to and who ends up telling it on screen.
Not even named a single specific target. Both blew up because that's what happens when you find a topic that the internet has been sitting on for months and you give it somewhere to land. I mean, the man came up making videos in his mother's living room while his grandmother refused to speak to him, and now senators are responding to his skits. Presidents are telling people to sue him. Pastors are now addressing him from their pulpits, and Hollywood is now looking slightly uncomfortable. Not bad for a man who never says anyone's name. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.